We are.
Okay.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Will the township clerk please read the statement? Adequate notice of this regular meeting was provided to the public in the press on January 6, 2023, and was posted at the municipal building in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-7. Please join me as we salute our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please call the roll. Councilmember DeStacy. Present. Councilmember Pizzuto.
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta.
Here.
Councilmember Tadrick.
Here.
Council President Bucieri. Here. Okay, we have public comments. May I have a motion.
Madam President, may I just make a comment about the
Yeah, thanks, Digger, for that.
about the monitor? In addition to going back to our IT provider to get more detail on that quote. Well, what we found out is that the majority of those dollars were for two people to make the 70-mile round trip from Haven, New Jersey, up here and back. There's some kind of contract, a labor contract they got. They must pay people a certain amount. And the labor for them to literally do the work. And we talked a little bit about what was required, what was the work. Got a pretty good understanding of that. And then I talked to my business administrator. What we ask our IT providers that if we could do this work and not do any damage, would they still keep our warranty in effect? And they said yes, and they were nice enough to let us know what we really kind of need to do. So my business administrator talked to our DPW individuals and asked them if they could come over and get up on a ladder and see if they could do this without harming any of the wires, any of the equipment. They concluded that they could. So we crossed our fingers and asked them to do it. The two individuals who did it was Mr. Craig Lidig, and Scott Moore. So we got this done at no cost to the town with the help of our business administrator and our two people from PW. Just want to let you know that.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and I'm glad they were able to do that.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's great. Great, thank you. May I have a motion to open the floor to public comment? Motion made by Ms. Stasi. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Tadrick. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, floor is open to public comment. This is for agenda items only. You could simply state your name for the record and which agenda item you'll be addressing. Want to come forward? It's unlocked.
Evening, Council President, Council members, Steve Dunlop. Thank you for getting the monitor. Asking for that for 2 years. I was a little shocked by the $1,200, but it's fixed. Thank you. With the question about the budget, your resolution 23-104. Last year, when the mayor put his budget together, as he was getting ready to put his budget together for this year, he made a statement saying, the final budget I presented to the council in 2022 resulted in a 0% increase in municipal taxes. We were able to achieve this outstanding objective by one, using almost $1 million from the municipal fund balance and using another $600,000 of the cash the town generated from the excess municipal property sale that we had in 2021. I don't know if our CFO is on tonight or not, but I would like to know, was that in addition to the budget or was that money incorporated into the approved budget?
You mean last year's budget?
Last year's budget was about 1.5 million
From fund
that you
balance.
said that came from the general fund.
Yeah.
And from the excess property. Was that in the budget, the final budget, or was that his budget plus the 1.5 million?
Maybe the mayor can answer that now.
The other question that I would have related to that is when the budget's approved and there's money in the general fund, whether it be 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, does the mayor or the CFO have direct access to that money, or do they need to come back to the council to get approval to spend money that's not in their budget?
I mean, in our fund balance.
In the fund balance,
Fund balance.
what they call the general fund.
Yeah.
The reason I asked that is because there was a lot of money spent on the pump track and the trail that weren't on the original plan. And I don't recall the mayor ever coming back to the council asking for additional funding. So if the mayor does have access, unlimited or any access to the general fund, then his budget doesn't really mean a lot, because it means he has his budget, plus he has this other surplus of cash that he can draw from. And I would just like some explanation for that, because it does seem that it kind of leaves it open that you could spend a lot more money than what's in the budget. If anybody here knows, I would appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Is that a quick question you guys can answer or no?
Yeah, the amount of money that he mentioned was in the budget. That's what helped reduce the budget down so that we could have a 0% tax increase. As it relates to money that's in the savings account.
Currently sitting in the fund balance.
Yeah, fund balance. As you so well know, when we want to take money out of that and use it, we have to come back to the council. We make a motion for that.
For a resolution.
Yeah, resolution, yeah.
Does that answer your question then? So if we want to transfer funds from the fund balance, it would require a resolution. Is that clear? Is that accurate, Josh?
Yeah, but that's correct.
Is that done at all in 2022?
I guess you know what, you might have to maybe email Danelle.
Election of them coming, asking for more money.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to remember every resolution, but I mean, if you want to reach out to Danelle, I'm sure she could answer that. for you.
No, because I don't remember anybody coming back asking. for this.
Yeah, I mean, if Danelle was here, she could probably answer it better.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that? How was that $600,000 accounted in last year's budget when that sale was in March of last year?
No, that's the sale was in November.
In
It was in November. Okay, all right, all right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
For some reason, March stuck in my head for some reason.
Back to public comments. Anybody else from the public?
Fire.
My name's Sean Clarkin. I just want to say that the example of the monitor for $1,200. Again, I'm going to just emphasize this. This is a regular daily practice. And we really need to scrutinize the money being spent, because things like the monitor for $1,200 is happening every day. And we need to get our expenses under control. The citizens of Vernon are very, very upset about their property reassessments. The reassessments aren't the problem. The problem is the budget. Reduce the cost of running the town. People aren't going to be upset about the annual reassessments. They're only upset because the budget is so high. And it's because of this, that it's like that. Thank you very much, everybody, for doing such a good job. Appreciate it.
Any other members of the public in person? Any virtually wishing to speak, Marcy? I have Jessie Palladini. Ms. Palladini?
Yes, good evening. Thank you. First, I want to say thank you for that answer regarding the mayor using surplus funds or any funds. The answer is no, he does not have the authority to spend any of that money. So I guess Mr. Dunlop and I will have to go back over last year's budget to see if he in fact did tap into any of that money. Sean Clarkin's comment was half right, half wrong, but I'm not going to address that right now. I'm going to address that at the end of the meeting. Yes, of course, if the budget is reduced, tax assessments will be lower, but it's not entirely correct that it's an automatic. I want to talk about some budget items, though, if you don't mind. There's an item on the bills list that says $300 for a recreation conference, and $75 of that is for mileage. Since when do we send our recreation employees to conferences? What are they going to learn? How to play a better game of softball? I mean, really? we gave our rec program to the PAL for the express purpose of saving money. And since then, over the last 5 or 6 years, we are paying both now, and the recreation department budget has increased unbelievably. Another item that I have a problem with is the $400 for an exercise program. Now, I don't want to deny senior citizens anything. I think they deserve, as much as we can give them. But we used to have volunteers and senior citizens do this for free. Nancy Adam, for one, Nancy faithfully for years went to the senior center, as did Shirley Baldwin, and they did the exercise program. It seems that now recreation people are paying recreation people to do these things, such as art and exercise and whatnot. So, I don't know why we can't have volunteers doing these things again. And the last item I want to bring up is $2,160 for soil for the community garden. That community garden was not supposed to cost taxpayers anything. The Board of Education owns that property, and they have allowed the town to use it, and people go and they garden, and that's a lovely thing. But taxpayers were not supposed to pay anything for that. And when I see a budget item of $2,160 for soil, we already know that we're paying for water and all kinds of other things for both the community garden and the dog park. Where are the people who have been shouting for the BOE to sell their buildings and properties? Where are those people who were saying that these things should not be costing taxpayers money? You keep raising our taxes, but these expenses are unnecessary. Please look over the budget with a fine-tooth comb. There's so much in it that could really be trimmed or cut. Thank you. That's all I have.
Mr. Mayor, I don't know if this is accurate, but I think people pay for those plots.
They do. Michelle, I asked Michelle to be in on the meeting tonight. Michelle, are you on?
She's on. So I don't want to take up too much time in public. but
Okay,
if she
okay, yeah, all right.
can Answer that either later or very, very quickly now. If not, we can,
Can she hear us?
yes.
Michelle,
I'm here.
did you hear the comment, Michelle,
About the soil.
I
Michelle?
did.
about the
Hi, how are
soil?
you?
How you doing? People pay for those plots, right?
They do.
So does that cover the cost that you put out for the soil?
It does. The soil is paid 100% by fees paid for by the members in the garden.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else in the public? Let's see. I have, Mr. McClackery. Mr. McClackery?
Yes, mine is just a general comment on the ordinance amending the budget. I missed the first part of the meeting, so I apologize. And as to, the soil being paid for by whomever, and basically you have to understand the accounting that the CFO is doing. Everything is put into one pot. So you don't really know where the money's coming from. I mean, yeah, I can make donations to the dog pound, whatever. As to whether it goes there or not, I don't know, because that money's going into one pot. Having said that, I'd just like to rehash my big problem with the Federal Reserve raising the interest rates and basically looking to reduce employment by 1 point or 2.5 million jobs. Or let's fight inflation with rising interest rates. We're looking at a hard time, and I do not.
Mr. McClackery, this is
Yes.
for agenda items only.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure what your question is.
Yeah,
To the budget.
I'm talking about the budget.
Oh, okay, okay.
All right, no, I can save it for
No,
later.
you can continue. I just wasn't sure where you were going with that, but go ahead. If it's about
Oh,
the
yeah.
budget, go ahead.
No, I was just giving the basis for my rationale with disagreeing with the mayor's budget increase of 6%. Sorry, I'm not buying it. And a lot of people are gonna may be looking at hard times. And with that, thank you and good night.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else? I don't have any other hands up right now. Okay,
Motion to close the floor to the public.
okay, may I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Okay. We each received a copy of the bills list. You've had a chance to look it over. Anyone on the council have any comments or questions? Fortunately, Janelle is not here, but maybe the mayor or, might be able to answer it.
I have one, now.
Mhm.
Check number 59567 for Morton Salt, for road salt for $49,610. When that's bought off of a contract, correct, or no?
Yes.
Does that contract signify any type of, or delineate any type of quantity that we need to buy in a certain year, or no?
That I don't know.
Because I'm just wondering why we would be buying road salt on March 30th. March 30th. That's when the check was cut, I should say. When we had a pretty mild winter. And so that's number one. Or two, I would hope that is being taken into account in the budget of 23, that we probably have a pretty full barn of salt.
As a matter of fact, I discussed that with
Oh, you did?
Mrs. Bright.
Yeah.
And if you recall at the last meeting, she mentioned that our previous vendor for the salt was our state-approved program,
Right.
Morris County
Morris County Co-op.
Co-op. However, because of the intercession of Ms. Kraus, we were able to come up with a substantially lower price of $17 and change. The quid pro quo was that we were working on a purchase of quantity at a time when demand was,
Makes sense.
very low.
All right, thanks for that info.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Rizzo.
Anybody else have any questions on the bills list? We'll move over to the consent agenda. I'm going to read through the resolution, and then after I do that, if anyone wants to pull any of those resolutions out, we can do that. Resolution number 23-102, authorizing the extension of award of a required disclosure contract for container service at the township's public works and animal control facilities. Resolution number 23-103, authorization to enroll a approval application in the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection for construction of an on-site wastewater treatment and disposal system alteration at Tall Timbers located at block 291 lot 1. Resolution 23-104, a resolution amending the budget. Resolution 23-105, authorizing the Vernon Township Council to approve person-to-person transfer of liquor license number 1922-33-013-04.
Like to pull 104 and 105.
104 and 105 are going to be both consent agenda. Anything else?
103, please.
Okay, so basically we'll do them all separately. Okay. That's fine. Okay. All right, may I have a motion to open up the floor for resolution number 23-102?
Moved.
First by Mr. Sparta, may I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Tadrick. Questions or comments for resolution 23-102? Who wanted that one to take out?
Nobody was.
Oh, it's just one, it was just, it ended up by itself.
Survivor.
The lone survivor, okay. May I have a roll call vote for resolution 23-102?
Yes, Councilmember Stacy, yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto,
yes,
Councilmember Scarpa,
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick,
Yes.
Council President Bushy. Yes, motion carries. Okay. Resolution 23-103. May I have a motion to open the floor for resolution 23-103?
Motion,
Motion made by Mr. Sassy. May I have a second?
Second.
Second made by Mr. Sparta. May I have a roll call vote?
No.
Oh, no, floor is open. Who has a question about that?
I did, just wondering, are the homeowners or the lot owners paying for this, or is it a township expense? Are this gonna be assessed against the Tall Timbers property owners?
Did you get the question?
Are you able to answer that?
What was your question again, please?
Who's paying for this?
Who's paying for the construction? The homeowner, the plot owners, or township expense?
I think the township is just endorsing
Yeah.
the application.
Yeah.
Because it's 950,000. I just want to be sure that that expense is going to be paid by them, not us.
Yeah, the applicant is Tall Timbers Property Owners Association.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm just verifying, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have questions about?
That was it.
A roll call vote? Member Stacy,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto,
yes,
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick.
Yes.
Yeah, motion carries. Resolution 23-104, a resolution amending the budget. May I have a motion to open the floor? Motion made by Mr. Tadrick. May I have a second?
Second.
Second made by Mr. Sparta. Any
Council President,
questions?
could I have just a few minutes to make some comments to share some transparency on this resolution, please,
Okay.
for the council?
Sure.
I'd like to make a comment before you make a comment.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, sir.
That's okay.
That's up to her.
Up to her.
Go ahead, Mr. Tadrick.
Thank you. From what I understand, the budget tax levy has now gone to zero. Probably what the mayor's going to say, correct? And for that, I'd like to thank Mr. Rizzuto for going and talking to Ms. Donnell and getting that corrected to a zero tax increase for the budget. Is that correct, Mr. Mayor?
I've got some comments that I want to make on this.
Is that one of the
I'll make my
comments?
Comments.
Is that one of the?
I'll make my comments.
Okay, whatever.
Whenever the council president, whenever.
Okay. If any
I'm
other
done.
comments?
I just asked the question. I guess I'll hear the
Okay.
answers.
Mr. Mayor,
Okay. Our formal government works best when the mayor and the council work together. And this working together is critical requirement when we put together our annual budget. Because under our form of government, only the mayor can develop and present a municipal budget. And only the council can approve and adopt a municipal budget. These two facts require that the mayor and council compromise whenever they have a significant difference of opinion on what should be in the annual municipal budget. In the state of New Jersey, when there is an unresolvable budget stalemate between the mayor and the council, New Jersey law gives the Department of Community Affairs the authority to first impose a personal penalty of $25 per day on each council member for every day that the council fails to approve a budget that has not been approved after the state of New Jersey's established statutory date by which all municipal budgets must be approved. This year, that statutory date is April the 28th. And second, New Jersey law gives the Department of Community Affairs the authority to dictate an annual budget to the town. Neither this council nor I want to put ourselves in that position where the state of New Jersey would be forced to take either of these actions in Vernon Township. And therefore, while Chief Financial Officer Bright and Business Administrator Kraus and I have worked close with the municipal staff to develop and present a budget that we believe is reasonable, that is based on a focus on addressing our town's real and necessary needs and not some unreal and unnecessary wants. Because I believe that the Vernon Township governing body, that is the mayor and the council, and not the state, New Jersey State Department of Community Affairs, determine the annual budget for our town. In discussions with the council president, I made a commitment to work close with her as the leader of the council and to work hard to reach a compromise solution with the council as a collective group that would enable me to present a budget that would finally get the votes of at least 3 council members. And while it is not my preference to adjust my proposed 2023 budget in a way that would delay the purchase of some needed municipal equipment and other items, or delay some needed municipal facility improvements, I have nevertheless adjusted my budget to do just that as part of this compromise. While it is not my preference to adjust my proposed municipal budget in a way that would decrease the amount of cash that we had planned to put in our capital improvement fund, which would have enabled the town to pay cash for some needed municipal items rather than borrowing money to pay for these items, I have nevertheless adjusted my budget to do just that as part of my compromise with the council. I did not wish to adjust my proposed municipal budget in a way that would reduce the municipality's fund balance, that is the municipality's savings account, below the current level of 22% of the proposed budget. I did not want to do this because according to our auditor, this action is very likely to reduce the municipality's bond rating, that is the municipality's credit score, and result in the municipality having to pay a higher interest rate for the funds that we would be forced to borrow to pay for some needed items. However, I have nevertheless adjusted the budget to do just that as part of my compromise with the council. This resolution number 23-104 amends the proposed budget that I have submitted by implementing these compromises that I've made. Specifically, this resolution authorizes the transfer of another almost $1 million from the municipality's fund balance, resulting in the use of a total of $2,065,000 of our fund balance to reduce the amount of funds that we will have to collect from taxpayers in this year's budget. This resolution also will allow us to take full advantage of the fact that Business Administrator Kraus has used her connections with the Sussex County Administrator to gain Vernon access to a Sussex County contract, which will enable us to purchase our road salt for a price that's 18% below the price that we are currently paying for this product. This, along with our optimistic assumption that the October, November, December portion of the 2023 winter season will be as mild as the January, February, March portion, allowed us to move forward with reducing the amount of funds that we will seek to collect from taxpayers in this year's budget for road maintenance and repairs. This resolution will reduce the amount of funds that we had planned to collect from taxpayers in order to build up the municipality's capital improvement fund, which would have enabled the town to pay cash for some needed municipal items rather than borrowing money to pay for these items. This action is authorized by this resolution will reduce the 2023 budget to an amount that will now total $31,032,000, an amount that will result, yes, in a 0% municipal tax increase. As we know, there's no such thing as a free lunch. And at some point in the future, some future mayor or council will have to deal with the economic consequences of the actions that I and the council have agreed to take as part of this compromise to get a 2023 budget approved at the April 24th council meeting, which will be just 4 days for the New Jersey established statutory date. You have my commitment that during these remaining 9 months that I will serve as mayor, I will do everything that I can to make these future consequences as economically as painless as possible. So let's shed some light on that, Madam President.
So I'll ask the further on question then. Are we gonna find $100,000 somewhere in this budget to blacktop the trail to nowhere?
I don't see that.
Well, can you guarantee me we don't, that's not in the budget?
I don't guarantee anything.
Yeah, well, that's a political statement.
Yeah.
Either there or it's not. So I can expect for the rest of this year not to see any blacktop moved on that piece of property, on that trail, correct?
I have,
Come on.
Ted, would you let me answer? You asked me a question.
Yeah, well, I gave you the answer that you took 4 minutes to read. So I'm just asking a yes or no question.
And Mr. Tadrick, whatever you,
Yes or no, Mayor? It's a yes or no answer. It's not a debate. You either have the money in the budget to do it, or you don't have the money in the budget to do it. Apparently, you had 1.5 million in the budget last year to do that stuff. So you either have 100,000 to do it or you don't. Simple yes or no,
Council President, ends my comments on it.
or whatever.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
Now, why bother? I'm voting no. Take my vote right. He's got his 3 votes, so I'm good.
Mr. Rizzuto, any comments or questions? Mr. Sparta? Dr. Stassi? I am glad that we have a 0% increase. I think it's a fair compromise. We have not reduced our fund balance to a point that's, I think, unhealthy. We'll still be at roughly 18%.
Mhm.
So, I think this is a good compromise, not taking the can down the road. People need to tighten their belts. There's a lot of different economic challenges in our community, and I think by not having an increase this year, our municipal government is showing the community that we're also willing to make changes and adjustments. I think that's a good thing. And I appreciate the compromise and the work that everyone, the council, the mayor, the administration have done in putting this budget together. May I have?
I just have one comment I'd like to make. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, not only on local level, but the federal level and all the way through in the state as well. Unfortunately, government is always expanding and it never contracts.
Took my
Sorry,
tagline.
sorry. But I think moving forward, I think the town has to look to starting to contract their government somehow. When you look at the budget and you see how much of it is put into personnel, I think you have to look and see if all those personnel are warranted at this time in this day and age and the state of the economy and where people are in this community. So I would encourage that the business administrator and the mayor this coming year start to really look and see where they can start shrinking things down to make it more palatable for the taxpayers in the town. I see also too, you've changed the capital improvement fund, which you spoke about, down to 75. You went down 75,000, what was proposed. Honestly, I think if you are very conscious with your spending, to find that $75,000 at the end of the year to put into your capital improvement fund
Mhm.
is not really all that tough in $31 million budget. So that's my comments.
I have a comment too, please. I want to thank the mayor and the administration to having spent the time to bring to our residents a 0 budget. I do not feel the cuts that you made are selling out the future. I think future mayors will be able to manage $1 million cut. It's not that drastic, but I think it will impact our local residents in their budgets because of inflation. So thank you for doing that. I agree with Brad. I think that our goal for the next year will be to scrutinize any spending and only do critically necessary spending for the safety and the well-being of the community. No frills or just safety comes first. Thank you.
I have a question for the attorney. Josh.
Yeah.
Can we write an ordinance that says in future, once this budget is cast and accepted, so I'm voting no on it, that any money out of that fund balance has to come before the council for approval before any dime is spent?
It's already there.
Well, it's already there, but apparently 1.5 million last year was in the budget. Nobody knew about it.
I'd have to take a look at. I need to take a look at the current State structure as well as the 1.5 million that was mentioned earlier. I
Okay,
can't say one way or another, but I'll get back to you.
thanks, bro.
I have a question as well. Is it not in our town ordinances that the mayor can only spend up to 17,000 without coming back to the council for approval?
Are you talking about the bid threshold?
Isn't that,
17,500 is the bid threshold. That's different
and anything over, anything?
than what the
on that?
mayor can spend after the budget's approved. Those are two different things. The bid threshold relates to procurement of goods and services.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, may I have a roll call vote? Councilmember Testasi,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto,
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick.
No.
Council President Bushieri. Yes. Thank you, please. All right, we have an introduction of ordinance 20.
Got 105 left, don't we? Yeah, 105.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right.
We'll look at license.
Not liquor license authorized. Resolution 23-105. May I have a motion?
Move.
To put that on the floor, moved by Mr. Tadrick. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sparta. Comments or questions? I think I know. Someone has some comments.
I had a question, but it's been solved.
It's been answered.
Yeah, it's been
Okay.
answered.
Does anyone else have a question about it? No? Okay. May I have roll call vote? Councilmember Testasi,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto,
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick.
Yes.
Council President Bushieri. Yes. Motion carries. Now we'll go to ordinance 23-15. Ordinance of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, amending chapter 94 of the Code of the Township of Vernon regarding the police division. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 23-13?
Move it.
Moved by Mr. Patrick. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sparta. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
Okay, may I have a roll call vote? Councilmember DeStafi,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto,
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick.
Yes.
And Council President Bushieri. Yes. Motion. Okay. Public hearing, second reading of ordinance 23-10, capital ordinance providing for fire department apparatus by the Township of Vernon in the County of Sussex, New Jersey, appropriating therefore the sum of $340,000 and providing that such sum so appropriated shall be raised from the capital improvement fund of the township. May I have a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 23-10?
Move it.
Moved by Mr. Tadrick. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Testasi. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Floor is open. Does anyone in the public wish to make a comment on ordinance 23-10? Anybody virtually wish to make a comment? I don't have any hands up. Okay, may I have a motion to close the floor?
Move it.
Moved by Mr. Tadrick. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sparta. Okay. May I have, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, may I have a motion to adopt ordinance 23-10?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Rizzuto. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Tadrick. May I have a roll call vote? Councilmember DeStafi,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto,
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick.
Yes.
Council President Bushieri. Yes, motion carries. Okay. Public hearing, second reading of ordinance 23-11, ordinance of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, supplementing chapter 5, article 2, entitles mayor and council to make meeting minutes compliant with Daniel's law. May I have a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 23-011?
Move it.
Moved by Mr. Patrick. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Testasi. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. The floor is open now. Is there anyone in the public, virtually or in person, that wishes to make a comment? Okay. No? I'm sorry, I have Tom McClackery. Okay. Mr. McClackery?
Yeah, it's just basically about cost. How much is this gonna cost us?
To redact the minutes?
Yes.
that-
And
That's being done in-house, so we're not, it's just
I know.
our clerk is
It's not
doing
gonna
it.
cost- I know, but, you know, over 35 years of attending council meetings, I gotta say, I never heard any police officer or public official get up there and give their name, address, and telephone number at any time. And that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone
It
else?
should be noted that this is an unfunded mandate.
That's correct, Mr. Rizzuto.
Yeah. And also, it doesn't have to do just with people standing up to make comments, it has to do with resolutions as well, correct?
Yeah, any public data in a resolution, tax information.
Can I just let you know that the clerk's office today put 2016 minutes on the website. So we have from present all the way 2016 back on the website.
Thank you. All right, so seeing no other comments from the public, may I have a motion to close the floor?
Move.
Mr. Tadrick, may I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Rizzuto, all in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2310? Moved by Mr. Tadrick, second by Mr. Rizzuto. May I have a roll call vote?
Member Sassy? Yes. Councilmember Rizzuto?
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta? Councilmember Tadrick?
Yes.
Council President Bushieri? Yes. Motion carries.
Okay, public reading of ordinance, public hearing of ordinance 2312, bond ordinance providing for the acquisition of a new tire truck by the township of Vernon and the county of Sussex, New Jersey, appropriating $845,300 therefore, and authorizing the issue of $320,300 bonds or notes of the township for financing such appropriation. May I have a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 2312?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Tadrick, may I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sparta, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the floor is open. Anyone virtually or in person have a comment? No?
I don't have any hands
It
up.
is a fire truck and not a tire truck. correct?
That's it.
Yeah, I keep saying.
I know, I'm sorry. It's
Oh.
fire truck.
Let's correct that, Marcy, when we.
It's correct on the ordinance.
Okay, okay. I'm just reading what's in front of me.
Yes, I know. A little birdie told me to fix it today and I forgot.
Okay. May I have a motion to close the floor to public?
Move.
Moved by Mr.
Second.
Patrick, second by Mr. Sparta, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, may I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2312?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Tadrick. There's a second, I'll second it. May I have a roll call vote?
Oh, can I have a comment on?
Okay,
My understanding is that total of this is $845,300. That was for a particular type of truck. I believe it was a pumper. However, I understand now that there's been a modification to the requirements needed by the fire department. And that it was going to be, the amount of money was going to be quite a bit less than is going to be required someplace in the area. 745,000 or in that area. And that the reason why this is being done is so that we can take advantage of current pricing. I would just like to have comment from Mrs. Kraus that the adjustment for this amount will be made at a future meeting.
Yes,
Correct?
yes, that's correct.
So what would be the targeted amount were we to have it now rather than the existing price?
I'm not sure on that. I just know that they were gonna work on getting the two fire trucks. And then whatever was not used towards them was gonna end up being canceling out
Okay,
and the price was gonna be lower.
okay,
But we will get you that, Mr. Rizzuto.
thank you. Well, I just want to make sure because I don't want it to be forgotten.
Yeah.
all right, may I have a roll call vote?
Councilmember DeStassi? Yes. Councilmember Rizzuto?
Yes.
Sparta?
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick?
Yes.
Council President Bushieri?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, back at public comment, this is for any topic. I have a motion to open the floor. Moved by Mr. Tadrick. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sparta. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, the floor is open to any item. If anyone in the public wants to come forward.
Good evening. I'm Peter Knight. I have a question or comment concerning the budget. I'd like to use an example, and perhaps using that example, you can show where my understanding is incorrect. I heard the term repeated many times this evening by the mayor about there being a compromise made. Personally, I don't see the compromise. So if you would, let's take a couple, Ted and Alice. They have a budget. Let's say even number, it's $100,000 to live on during the year. They realize that it's really not possible because combining all of their resources, they only come up with $80,000. So there's a gap of $20,000. Instead of coming into a compromise of whether they eat steak or peanut butter, they've decided to take $20,000 out of their savings account. So my question is, was there a compromise? I see no compromise in their budget. I see a couple falling further and further behind to the point where their savings or their reserve is gone. We see this being done at the state level and the federal level, which causes the federal level just to go out and print more money. A couple, married couple, can't print. So I'm assuming I'm correct in that there really was no compromise. Taking money from essentially a reserve, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the way I understand it. Can you explain to me where the actual compromise on the money being spent is? Whether the council can answer that, or the mayor could answer that, or the business administrator can answer that, I'd welcome to be corrected if I'm wrong.
Well, I can tell you, Mr. Knight, that maybe the mayor will be able to maybe give a little more color to this, but the budget was made wanting to really increase the savings account, the fund balance. So that was a compromise, putting less money into that fund balance. There were two purchases that were in the original budget meant for our DPW that were removed for the budget that we just passed on that resolution. So those two purchases are not going to be made in 2023. There were a couple other line adjustments made. So I understand what you're saying about the savings account. So
I'm sorry.
it's a compromise. It might not be but you know, how you would have compromised, but it is a compromise.
I know the big compromise that may have been suggested was about salt.
Well, and this, yeah, well, that was adjusted. That really wasn't a compromise. I wouldn't say that that was a realized savings because of a change in billing, yeah, or a change in cost rather.
So these small adjustments just don't really add up to, you know, to really make the difference as far as I'm concerned. I think Sean earlier had said, sooner or later, we're just going to have to tighten our belts, start reducing our spending. There's a budget and then there's spending. And they have to come in alignment. So I'm quite honestly, I'm not satisfied with that explanation, but thank you for trying. Good night. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in person that would like to make a comment?
I'm guessing Miss Bright is not with us tonight.
No, she was,
Questions?
nope, she's not.
Last year, when the budget came up, there was questions and the council asked the mayor to agree to a 0% budget. And he immediately jumped up and said he would do that. I was very suspicious of that. When people are so quick to agree to something, makes me think that the budget had some fluff in it. I still do. Continuing on the mayor's comments where he talked about the $1.5 million he had last year. We are forced to absorb a 33% increase in the cost we pay SCUMA. We are forced to absorb a 21% increase in the cost we must pay for health state benefits for municipal employees. We are forced to absorb 16% in the cost of gasoline and diesel fuel. We're forced to absorb an 11% increase in funds for state requirement. We're forced to absorb a 10% increase in the cost we pay SCUMA for recycling. We're forced to absorb a 7% increase in the funds we must pay to the state retirement system. We are forced to absorb a 7% increase in the cost we must pay for workers' comp, and on and on and on. And yet somehow miraculously, we're getting back to almost a zero budget. I don't always agree with some of the other speakers, but yeah, when you just take money from one and move it to another, it's not really saving taxpayers' money. It's just spending from a different fund. I look at some of the salary increases that are proposed and it seems preposterous to me, based on what I see industry doing. They're not given the kind of increases that are being proposed. The only thing the council can do, and I hear this all the time, is advise and consent. And it seems that there's been a lot more consenting and a lot less advising. I know there's only so much the council can do. This is the only opportunity they have once a year to try to get spending under control. And I think the council should be suspicious of these numbers, especially when looking at what I just read to you, all of the alleged increase in costs, but yet we're not going to be increasing the budget. It would make me think, and again, I mentioned this before, I wish you would look into it and get back to me. Did the mayor come before the council on even one occasion in fiscal 22-23 and ask for additional funding for anything? And I would appreciate if somebody would get to the bottom of that and get an answer. Thank you. Don't want to belabor the point.
Okay.
Sean Clarkin again. Just to set the record straight, during the mayor's announcement, he stated that he works very closely with the council and you're going to come to an agreement. I think everyone needs to remember that the council, a prior council, voted not to buy the Baldwin property. And the mayor went ahead against the advice of the council and bought the property anyway. We all need to remember that. That is a strong reminder of who you're dealing with. Okay? And look under every rock, because you're going to find more and more. Every rock you turn over, there's going to be money that can be saved for the taxpayers. The man who bought the Baldwin property after the council voted not to buy it is the man you're dealing with. And you need to remember that. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone in person?
Yeah, Tom McClackery.
Mr. McCaffrey?
Yes, yeah, good evening. I wasn't going to talk about the budget. I'm not going to talk about the budget, mainly because the budget should have been hashed out as typically is done in November or December and beginning of January. At this late date, it's kind of late. The horse is out of the barn. But anyway, looking at it differently, I would suggest that the council look at changing the town code that gives the mayor the authority to do the budget. And I check with the Division of Community Affairs. I'd have the lawyer sitting next to you, check into the town code that gives the mayor the ultimate authority on the budget. And at the end of the day, all we're doing here is, and you guys, you have your hands tied. The mayor has tied them. and it's the mayor's budget. And he won't be here next year when you come to the next budget. So you better start taking steps now to look at the budget coming up. Having said that, I'd just like to drop back to the Veterans with Disability Ordinance. And here I'm talking about New Jersey Public Question number 2, peacetime veterans eligible for property tax deductions. This amendment to the Jersey Constitution was enacted in 2020. In that amendment, it specifically says in the New Jersey Constitution, any person hereinafter described who has been or shall be declared by the United States Veterans Administration, United States Department of Veterans Affairs, or its successor to have a service-connected disability shall be entitled to such further deductions from taxation as from time to time may be provided by law. In 2309, you changed that law. You changed it from when the tax assessor gets the veterans form to 4 quarters before that. So my comments then and my comments now is you owe all disabled veterans money retroactively. And that's me for the night, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Blackley. Jesse Palladini. Ms. Palladini?
Yes, thank you. I'd like someone to answer this question. How many garden plots are in the community garden?
Michelle, are you still on the call? Yes.
Is she coming? I don't want my clock ticking here.
She's
I'm
on.
here.
I pause it.
Okay, thank you.
There are 72 plots in the community garden.
Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Okay, you know, whether or not people pay for these plots is not the issue here. What's the issue is the total money coming in, total money. So to just say, oh yeah, the plots pay for themselves, that's totally deceptive. But we'll have to Oprah the numbers and come back to this another day. At the last meeting, when Councilman Tadrick asked where the money was coming from to pay for Mr. Stoner, the mayor said, from the mayor's budget. I have never heard of such a thing. What is the mayor's budget? I'd like to know. What line item is that? Does the mayor pay from his budget every time the consultants come to a meeting? I'd like an answer, please. What is the mayor's budget?
Ms. Palladini, I believe the mayor just meant the budget, but maybe we have another question.
Yeah, okay, so the mayor does not have to answer to the public about what is the mayor's budget. Okay. I want to give credit to Joe Tadrick and Brad Sparta for their scrutiny of things and their apparent understanding of the municipal budget and of government operations. I also want to comment on the meeting on tax assessments. I have nothing whatsoever against the county tax people, as some seem to think I did. But that meeting on tax assessments was a complete sham and had nothing to do with quelling the public's angst over the process. Furthermore, to have taxpayers criticized by Mr. Stassi, the very person who organized that meeting with her teammate, team member, whatever, Sally Rinker, to say that the public was rude, insulting, and complaining was such a slap in the face to the very people who supported her for so long. So you scheduled the meeting to answer the public's questions, but then you criticized the public, and having the county there had nothing to do with anything the public wanted to know. We knew the process. We knew it before the county came. It was actually Councilman Sparta. Yeah, isn't that funny that I'm giving him so much credit? Who said the best and the most accurate thing that night. And it didn't even occur to me, but we've been talking about it ever since. He referred to this new annual assessment and said that it takes away taxpayers' rights to appeal. This very day, I got 2 emails from taxpayers who said to me, what's the point of appealing? Because if I appeal and I win and I'm successful, they're only going to raise me again next year. So what I want to say is I am asking you to go back to the assessment process we used to have. At the very least, do them every 5 years. Please do not renew this contract when it is over next year. Thank you. Good night.
Is there anyone else in the public, Marcy? Yes. Samantha,
Hi, good evening. How are you?
thank you.
I have a couple of questions, and I'd like to thank Joe Tadrick, first of all, for asking the mayor about the 100,000. I see we didn't get an answer. And the one question I really want answered is, do any of you, I think Joe does, I think Mr. Rizzuto does, do any of you actually listen to our thoughts, our questions, our concerns? Because I have yet to get an answer from anybody. I don't think half of you know what the answers are to the questions. And then the day that you're voting on the budget, Danelle isn't even there. And you're telling me that Joe Tadrick is the only one that had a question on that entire budget? Blows me away. And you voted on it anyway, so it's irrelevant. Why do you waste our time? Jesse beat me to quite a bit. Peg, I think what you did at that meeting was disgraceful, disrespectful, and I do not think you represent us. You're smiling away over there. I think that's disgusting. And clearly, Steve Dunlap should have been the one appointed, not you. I have 2 questions. I had a bunch of questions about the bills list, but even Danelle doesn't answer those questions, so I'm not going to waste any time. What else did I have? It doesn't matter. I'll send them in Oprah's and get it that way. But I just think that all of you should take a lesson from Mr. Tadrick, because no one is challenging anyone. And Natalie, I think that the disrespect that you show us with that timer is pathetic. I think you owe us. We voted you guys in. We thought things were going to be different. They're not, well, they're different. They're worse. I didn't think that was possible. My opinion. But that is an insult with that timer. We don't have the right to talk 6 minutes. I know you let a bunch of people talk longer than 5. It's only selective enforcement in this town. Selective enforcement. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ann Larson. Ms. Larson?
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak for a moment. I just wanted to touch upon a couple things regarding that tax meeting that we had a couple of weeks ago. I do have to agree with a lot of things that were stated about it, but I have to say, I believe that gentleman's name was Mr. Conklin, or he threatened that if we didn't let them do the data collection, that we were going to be harmed. They were going to take retaliatory action. I think a verbal threat like that at a meeting ought to be pursued further. I don't think it's appropriate to have an employee of the county threatening the taxpayers that, either my way or the highway. We already had the total revaluation completed, and the data collection. I don't know what law he's reading that says that we have to let people in our homes repeatedly for data collection and basically harassment of the community. So I would appreciate if someone would at least take a look at some of the things that were mentioned, the improprieties that were, I guess, brought forward. And we do need to stop that whole process. It is improper to just harass the community like this. It's just not right. And as Mr. Sparta said, you are trying to, or not you, but the whole process is an effort to deny the public the opportunity to appeal their taxes. And and as the woman who spoke from the tax department said, they were concerned with townships that were at a valuation of less than 85%. We and Frankfurt were the only people that were above 85%. So she did contradict herself. And I know she threw other data at us, but the bottom line is the figure she spoke about was the 85%. And we were definitely the only two, one of the only two towns in compliance. So this is a very heavy-handed approach. And again, I appeal to you to please pause this process. I have to tell you, I agree with the comments of both Mr. Knipe and Mr. Dunlop, and actually Sean Clarkin. I mean, the budget, moving money around, robbing Peter to pay Paul, taking it out of savings. This is just got to stop. I mean, as they noted, what spending was decreased? Is there a hiring freeze? I didn't hear a declaration of a hiring freeze. I didn't hear a declaration about a salary or wage freeze. I didn't hear anybody say that going forward, we will hire people on a part-time basis. So at least the town can save the benefits. And to hear this ridiculous recreation committee thing come back again for another conference for $300 plus $75 traveling, this is absurd. We're just throwing good money after bad on such frivolous foolishness. It's beyond pale. Someone has to take control of what's going on with the spending there. And I do thank you for taking the efforts that you took, but honestly, there's just too much waste in this budget. And I really would appreciate a finer look at it. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you.
Larson, I will say one thing. That was not a threat by him. That was a fact because it happened to me. They came to my house. The guy was very rude when he came 2 years ago or whatever it was, tried to push his way in the door. My dog almost got him. I called the tax assessor's office and I called the company and told them if they show up on my property again, they're going to have a really rough time. So what he did was he assessed my house as having 5 bedrooms, a fully finished basement, a fully finished attic over my garage, along with whatever else he put in there. So he super overvalued my house because I didn't let him in the door. So I let the other guy in this year, and all of a sudden he said, your house looks nothing like it's assessed to me. I said, yeah, no kidding. The guy was pissed because he tried to push his way in and my wife stopped him. So it's not a threat, it's fact. They're going to do it. They're going to bang you for every little thing they can. So just be aware.
Else, Marcy? I don't have any other hands up. Okay. I have a motion to close the floor. Public comment?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Tadrick. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sparta. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay. Mr. Mayor, do you have any other comments?
Yeah, thank you, Council President Bucieri. I have just one comment tonight that relates to the banner that's displayed in front of the dais. See here, you can probably see it better. You look up there. After tonight, this banner will be displayed in a very visible location outside of the municipal center. I use my comments to shed some light on the prestigious state recognition of our town that this banner actually represents. On an annual basis, those New Jersey municipalities that have a mayor's wellness campaign report to the New Jersey Healthcare Quality Institute on the annual initiatives that they have undertaken in support of improving the health and wellness for the residents of their towns. As of this date, Vernon and 429 other New Jersey municipalities have these mayoral wellness campaigns. Vernon's Mayor's Wellness Campaign started in 2016 under the leadership of former Mayor Harry Shortway and was activated and implemented by Municipal Director of Recreation and Community Affairs, Mrs. Michelle Downtain. When I became mayor in 2020, I recognized that our town's wellness campaign was an important initiative that contributed significantly to Vernon being a good place to live and raise a family. And therefore, I not only continued this campaign, but I also gave it my full encouragement and my full support. Each year, the New Jersey Healthcare Quality Institute awards 3 levels of Mayor's Wellness Campaign achievement. The beginning award level is the bronze level, which is awarded to those municipalities that are judged as New Jersey healthy towns that's up and coming. The next level is the silver award, which is awarded to those municipalities that are judged as New Jersey healthy towns to watch. And the highest award level is the gold level, which is awarded to those municipalities that are judged as being full-fledged New Jersey Healthy Towns. During the first 6 years that Vernon participated in this program, the highest award level that we have been able to achieve was that of New Jersey Healthy Town to Watch. However, during 2022, which was our 7th year participation, our performance finally earned us the highest and gold level award of a New Jersey Healthy Town. Vernon was one of only 14 towns in the entire state of New Jersey to earn this prestigious honor of being recognized as a New Jersey Healthy Town. I thank Mrs. Downtane for the key critical role that she played in leading our mayor's wellness campaign team in the planning, in the organizing, in the directing and coordinating functions that were required in researching and gathering the information and data required for our town's application to be considered for this prestigious award. Madam President, that ends my formal comments tonight.
Council comments? Right on this end, Mr. Sassy?
Yes, I would like to state that I do not believe that challenging anything is the proper way for a council to function. I went to each department head that I had to ask questions from. I met with Donnell at least 4 times over the budget, got all my answers that I needed to be able to make a decision. Same thing goes with the mayor. I sent him emails. I sent emails to the attorney when I had questions there as well. So I don't just get up here and challenge anything. I research. In addition, I would like to say it's news to me that I planned tax assessors meeting because I had nothing to do with it. So whoever thinks that I planned that, you're incorrect. In addition, I'm not in support of that. So I don't know why you seem to want to insist that I'm part of the problem. I did not plan that meeting, nor am I in favor of the 1-year assessment.
Yes, and I don't know if Ms. Kraus can answer this or not, but since you've been on board now for 6 weeks, take a shot and see if you know. We received some ARP money that is slated for water improvements in the town. It was like $2.4 million and has to be spent, has to be allocated, I think, by the end of 24, spent by 25 or 26. So I asked Ms. Bright a few months ago, and just so you know, I do ask this question every couple of months, so you might want to stay abreast of it. Where we stand with it, the last time I asked her, she said that it was ready to go out for RFP. I'd like to know if that RFP has been drafted and has gone out yet, and if not, why? Because every month that this goes by with inflation, we're getting less and less of a project. So I'd particularly like to start moving a little bit. We got this money to make improvements to this town and hopefully kind of move it along a little bit. So if you can get those answers, I don't want them emailed to me. I want them at the next meeting, so that way the public can hear as well. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's all.
Patrick?
Yeah, I didn't have any comments, but now I do.
Mic closer.
It's your hearing aid. It's our job to confront. It's our job to question. It's not our job to go off in the night and talk to people offline, in my opinion. Everything I say it in public, on the record. And I think that's the way we're supposed to do business for the people. I was appointed, I wasn't elected. And I'm not running again. For those of you who thought I might, I'm not. But if you think your job on this council is to sit back and take what's thrown at you, you should look for another job. You're supposed to be representing the people here, and you're supposed to be asking the questions that people ask, and not going and visit somebody in the middle of the day to get your piece of the story, because then the other one's going here and the other one's going there. Every council's going to everybody. That's not the way this government was set up, first of all. Everything's supposed to go through, we've had this discussion before, through the president of the council. We're not supposed to go out on our own and seek the answers we like or want. If you can't ask your question from this dais, then you shouldn't be here. So I gotta
And where
say,
does it say that, Joe?
It's
not
fact.
rules.
It's-
Where does it say?
where does it say that?
Yeah.
You should know that, Peg.
Where does?
You're
it
supposed to
say
be
it?
representing the people.
I
You're
know.
supposed to be able, no, you don't go to Danelle middle of the day or this one. Come here and ask the questions of Danelle in front of everybody. Get it on the record.
It is.
That's what you're supposed to, it's not on the record. You're in her office. I don't even know you were in her office.
It's none of your business what I do.
It's the people's business.
Yes, it is.
And you're
I
not-
vote
And you're not
accordingly.
telling anybody that you're there until just now.
Oh,
You
no.
do it here from the day or so. Don't do it at all.
I've said it.
If
3
people want to
times.
elect you, fine.
I said
That's what they're gonna
it
get.
Times that I have met with Donnell. Maybe if you came to the meetings once in a while, you would hear. it.
Really? You want to go down that road, Peg? You really want to go down that road?
You've already.
You want to go down that road?
Argument, why don't we continue
You wanna go down that road?
hey, Joe and Peg,
Your limit.
So what are you gonna do?
Nothing.
That's right. You're gonna do nothing.
Mr. Tadrick and Mr.
There's nothing
Sassy.
I can do,
That's right. There's nothing you can do.
but what
Mr.
kind of?
Sassy and Mr.
decisions
Tadrick.
you Make
What?
when you,
Oh, I
when you
can make
don't
the
abide
decision.
by your own ordinance.
Am I gavel?
Are you kidding me?
Can we talk about this later, you two?
But in public, we don't talk about it at all. End of story.
Mr. Rizzuto?
No comment.
I think having a debate and conversation is a great idea. I think it was getting very heated, a little out of hand. If you'd like to have conversation, I don't want to quell that or suppress that,
Done.
but I think yelling and getting to that level of agitation isn't healthy for us as a council, isn't healthy for our town.
And you're right, and I'm sorry for overstepping.
I'm
I
happy to
accept
have
your
conversation.
apology.
I'm
I'm
happy.
not
accept
apologizing.
your
I'm not
apology.
apologizing to you. I said I'm overstepping. I'm not apologizing to you for anything.
Well, I don't want to say you can have conversation because you can.
No,
But I
no,
think
understand that.
there's a level that we need to respect each other. And we've all, just Joe, so you know, I mean, we've all gone and asked questions of the business
And
administrator.
I've said it,
You
and I
know,
think
Mr.
you should,
Rizzuto has done that himself.
and I
many
think it
times.
should be done in public. That's my point. That's,
Okay.
you can disagree.
It doesn't.
You can do it the way,
Done it.
you can do it the way you want to do it. I'm just saying, I believe it should be done in public.
Well, and questions are done in public, but then when we, what discussions regarding the budget questions, sometimes come up in between meetings. So you send an email or you make a phone call and you ask. a
Again, I
question.
just think it should be done in public. That's just me.
Okay.
We can agree to disagree.
Yes, we definitely can. And without getting heated, I respect they have a different opinion on that. But I don't think Mr. Satsy is the only council member who has asked a question outside of the council meeting. I know for a fact I have, and I'm sure others have too. That I think will be my comments. May I have a motion to close?
Move.
Mr. Tadrick first, Mr. Rizzuto second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much.
I gotta come straight up this place. My good friend Ray Ford, you know them?